Hello, my name is Emery Primo, and I'm here to talk to you about the AVTokyo2022 conference badge. But first, a little introduction about myself. I'm a co-founder of and current chairman of Tokyo Hackerspace, and an author of a book on Arduino projects for scientific and laboratory research. This was several years ago. In 2015, I collaborated with Tokyo Hackerspace to create the first AVTokyo digital badge, which was this one here. And it played a binary game where you had to count up in binary. It also had a mode where if you wave it back and forth, it would show AVTokyo as a POV kind of thing. And this was based off of Arduino, very easy to hack. So we had some extra pins here that you could work with and do your own stuff. But you have, two buttons and a bunch of LEDs here. And this kind of spawned a bunch of other groups to do some other badges. And in the meantime, I also made this really simple little green box with a button on it. And some of you might, if you came to the event before, you might remember me walking up and asking if I could plug this very suspicious box into your computer and then press the button. And many of you let me do that. I assume that's got a lot to do with the drink part of AVTokyo. And this was basically just a keyboard replicator that would open up a notepad and then type in a long, kind of advertising message for you. But it was kind of to demonstrate that making little hacker tools is actually incredibly easy with these modern microcontrollers and the kinds of hardware that makers have available to them now. It's quite simple. And now we're up to the point of having devices like ESP32, which have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and that's what our new badge is going to be based off of. Yeah. A couple years ago, we had the COVID thing and we couldn't do any in-person meetings, so AVTokyo has been online. And when I saw that for 2022 is going to be back in an event venue, I decided to make a badge, so I'm kind of previewing it here. Here's our 2022 AVTokyo badge. I'm quite happy with it. We have our logos here, the two different Space Invader type Tokyo Tower designs. And then on the back, this badge this year, I'm working with a new company with a co-founder, actually the original founder of Tokyo Hackerspace. His name is Chris Shannon, and a friend of ours, Taylin Aiken, to do some software. But VPC Asia is our new company that we designed and built this badge. And we have a battery back here. And VPC Asia is it's like we're an IoT and cloud services company, but we specialize in highly specialized, highly customized cloud services for businesses, business-to-business IoT and such like that. So making this kind of hardware is kind of in our wheelhouse. So. Okay, so let's take a look at the badge here. Just before I turn it on, we have a multi-direction joystick here, and you can actually press this down for select, and we use the select quite a lot in the badge. And then up at the top here, we have our programming port, and here's our ESP32 back here. And down below, we have battery charge controller circuitry. And then over here we have the battery protection circuitry, and we have two game buttons here, B and A. Kind of follows this traditional Nintendo format where B is towards the center. And then down below this nice pretty screen here, we have a accelerometer and a temperature and humidity sensor. Above the screen here there's a LED here, which is controllable by software. Right now we just use it to indicate that it's booted, but we could use it for other things as well. Here we have a I2C port. Now if you're a hacker, if you're a maker, if you like to deal with electronics and stuff, this is a quick connector compatible connection. so you might be aware of what quick connectors are. Unfortunately, this device, the connector, is quite hard to get right now with the supply chain issues, so you'll have to buy it yourself and solder it on. We couldn't, unfortunately, be able to get it mounted on the board for you. And then we also have some additional GPIO here with power and ground, so you can connect up to your own devices there. And on the back we have our 18650 lithium ion battery, the ESP32, and our serial USB to serial interface for programming, so you can program it directly here. You can also charge this battery from the USB. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn it on. There's a little power switch down here in the bottom right. We found, unfortunately, that these power switches are quite fragile, so please be careful with it. Rather than trying to like flick the switch here with your thumb right at the end of the post, try to grab it towards the body of it and gently flick it over. So I do it with my fingernail, right? Try to be gentle with it. But so here we go. So there's our boot light, and we have our menu. And in the menu, we have a bunch of settings here in the setup area, and then we have some games, and we have some tools, and then we have some sensor input here. So the software is not complete. There's still a lot that we're going to work on, but let's go up to setup. Now you basically up and down, and then you press the button. Okay, so if we go into setup, you can enter your name, or you can just stay anonymous. We don't really care, right? But the name might make it easier for you to find your data, because this badge will post data to an MQTT server, which our company VPC Asia hosts, right? So if you wanted to change it, you basically just press the select, and then you'll see that it's got the double bars there, and you can go up and down with the joystick. And then when you like what you see, you can press click, and then it moves on to the next one, and then the next one, and the next one, right? And then if you get to the end, you'll notice this icon here right now is a pencil. And if we push right, it'll become an arrow again. So when it's in the arrow, you can move up and down, right? All right, so I just changed my name. However, it's not going to save your name until you press save. So we can also change the backlight, so we can go from 60 to 100. This will help you save battery time, although we found that this battery lasts quite a while, several hours anyway. So certainly long enough to leave the badge on the entire time of the event. But if you wanted to save power in the future, you can turn the backlight down. By default, we have it set to 60%. Badge mode, we have a few things that we're still working on with this, but basically normal mode is it jumps into this menu, and name mode, it will, once you put it to name mode and then save, and then reset the badge, it'll, so when I hit save there, it says that we're saving our settings. So settings are saved. So then when I reset this, it's going to go straight to, it's just going to show my name. Now we're going to pretty this up. We're going to make it do a lot of jazzy stuff. But basically this is just your, like, it's a name badge mode. And then if you want to get out of it, you just have to press the button. But then you have to go back into setup and disable the name mode back to normal and save, and then it'll, next time you reset, it'll go straight to the menu. So in addition to the name mode, we'll also have an MQTT mode, and that just lets it basically go to sleep to save power, but then it'll wake up every once in a while and post your MQTT messages. But by default, the badge is always posting messages in the normal mode, or even in the name mode, it's posting messages. It's just the difference is MQTT, it's going to turn off the backlight on the screen, so you save even more power, and it's also going to sleep in between posts so that we can make the battery last for days rather than just a few hours. So also in setup, if we get in here and go to Wi-Fi, no, it's fine. So you can see we are connected to our lab IP address, and now you have our password. This will be covered up with asterisks by the time we release, but this will rotate through two or three different SSIDs. The first one is going to be the SSID at the venue, so it'll be TK's, the nightclub's SSID and password, and it'll automatically connect to that Wi-Fi. In the future, we're going to post the code, and you'll be able to change those default settings so you can auto-rotate through a selection of different Wi-Fis that you manage, and then wherever you are, the badge will connect and be able to start posting. So it tells me my IP address, and this is one critical thing. If you're not going to use a username, then you at least need to know your UUID. This is your unique user ID based off of the MAC address of the ESP32. So in our MQTT server and all of our databases, all of our messages are going to come in with this address here. So we'll filter by this, and then later we'll be able to match you to your name, but we don't really need the username because we have a unique identifier for everybody. If we want to change, if we want to create our own SSID, if you want to join your own home network, this is something you can do. You can go ahead and enter, as before, enter the network SSID data, and also change the password. And then you'll be able to have the badge join your network. But you will need to, save these parameters so that the next time you start the badge up, it will automatically pull those. It'll still try TK first. No, sorry, actually, it'll try your parameters first, and if it doesn't get onto your Wi-Fi, then it'll go back to that default list, which right now is TK in our work lab. But when you edit the code, you can change it to another one. So you can basically have as many as you want that it'll rotate through. But I need to lose this one because that is not a... Okay, so again, we also have MQTT settings, so you can disable this and save it, and then it won't post MQTT messages. But if you leave it enabled, it's going to connect up to this broker, which is our server. Again, you'll be able to change that on your own to point the badge to your own server. Ports are usually fixed with MQTT 1883 or 8883 for SSL. We're not doing any secure posting here. We don't really care. We're not worried about security at a security conference. And then you can change the post interval in seconds for how long you want to wait in between sending out messages. And again, if you just save it, then your default choices will be saved and recalled the next time you power up the badge. Status will change if you can't connect up to your MQTT server. It'll show not connected, and you can troubleshoot as to why. Okay, so that's all the boring stuff. Now let's get to some of the fun stuff. So first of all, we have games. Some of these games are still in development, but the quiz game for sure is complete. So it'll give you some instructions here. You can use the up and down to scroll through and press the button to quit, and then this is your selection. So our first question here, this is randomized, so you're not all going to get the same questions at the same time. And it mixes between tech and science fiction and cyberpunk and cultural questions. So C-3PO is what kind of droid? I believe he was a protocol droid. So if I press the B button, we should say, yes, it's correct. And the second question, social hacking, searching company trash. I'm going to intentionally get this one wrong. Let's say that this is a honey trap, and it'll say, no, you're wrong, right? So you'll notice that we have a score here, and we have a top score. Every time you play the game, even if you quit the game, it's going to ask if you want to save your top score. So I'm going to get another one right here. Who said, I'm sorry, Dave, I can't do that? That was HAL 9000. So get this question correct. Okay, so now my score is 20, but my last score was 10. So when I press the center button on the joystick here to quit, it's going to say, are you sure you want to quit? And I'm going to say, yes. And for that, I have to press the B button. Okay, so my top score has been saved, and this will eventually also post to our MQTT server. So we'll be able to do a top scores on all the games during the event. So you'll be able to compete with each other and see who's doing the best on the quiz game or the various other games that are on here. And so now let's center button to exit the game, or A button over here. I can replay. I'm just going to exit, and we're back to the menu. I'm not going to show you all the games. We need to leave that for you to explore. So under Tools, we have a Wi-Fi scanner and a Bluetooth scanner and a button tester. So if you want to check you can check all your joystick stuff and make sure everything's working properly. It's a little bit hard to see on the screen here, but these do turn purple when you press them so that you can clearly see, and then that will center button will exit. And let's go back to Tools. All right, so our Wi-Fi scanner. So we can scroll the list, we can rescan, or we can quit. And then it says there's more details on the terminal. If you plug in to the USB and use a serial terminal, you should be able to get more details here. So here are all the Wi-Fi's available near me right now in the lab that I'm in. It's actually quite a long list. There's a lot of Wi-Fi signals here. We're on a main road, so there's a lot of Wi-Fi signals here. And we have an RSS value here. Now this is important because we will have an additional game, a hunting game, at the event where you'll find some devices that say like AVT, find me 1, 2, and 3. And these are 3 Wi-Fi access points that are going to be hidden in the venue. And when you find them, be discreet. It's a hacker event. We don't want to give away the secret. But when you find one, pull out your smartphone. There'll be a QR code that you can point to. And that will take you to a web page that you can sign a guest book and claim that you did, in fact, find that access point. So we want to see how many of you guys can find our access points hidden throughout the venue. And you'll need the Wi-Fi scanner to do that. Or you could use your phone too, or some other Wi-Fi scanner, but we wanted to build that in for you. So, okay, and then in the tools we also have the Bluetooth scanner. Let's see if there's any Bluetooth devices around. Well, there should be at least my mouse somewhere. Yeah, a lot of Bluetooth. So the problem with Bluetooth is we could use Bluetooth naming, but names are optional in Bluetooth. So most devices don't even advertise their name. They just give you their ID. Again, this tool gives you more output in the serial terminal. So if you plug in, you can see other data, including those names that we don't print here, right? All right, and now if we go to sensors, we have the temperature, humidity, and also the battery voltage. And you also see the battery's voltage is reflected in this icon here. These are updated, I guess, every 10 times a second right now. But we can also plot them. So I'm going to plot the humidity here. And the humidity sensor is on this side, and the accelerometer is over here. Again, I'm not going to show you all this stuff. I'll let you play with it at the event. But we can tell that, if I can, right, I can affect the humidity here by blowing my wet, musty air on it. Again, with the temperature sensor, this will also work. We're going to try to come up with some kind of activities with the sensors, but we may not have that squared away by the event. All right, and press the joystick to exit. And then finally, we just have an About Splash page, so thanking everybody that worked on it. And I definitely want to thank everybody at VPC Asia that helped me, supported me, and were very interested and excited with the project. And I hope that in the future, after the event, you'll be able to use the badge for other things. So we tried to make it as usable as possible, being able to change the MQTT addresses and things like that. As soon as the code is available, it'll be on GitHub, and we'll post that on the AVTokyo webpage as well as Twitter, and we will also post it on the Tokyo Hackerspace page. So I hope that we'll be able to get more applications for this in the future. So if you come up with your own tool or a game that you want to add to it, we can import that into the GitHub page. We can fork it, whatever you want to do, and try to add that into it after the event. Would be really nice to see this badge being used by a lot of people after AV Tokyo is complete. Thank you very much for your time, and let's have a great event, and I will see you there.